Move into the lobby and into the game.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are now into game number 1. The map is going to be Cloud Kingdom and spawning over here in the bottom left position. Ladies and gentlemen, representing the Team Slayers here at the Esports LAN, it is Clyde. His opponent spawning in the top right position as the Green Terran player from Team Empire. This is Korea versus Europe here. Who is going to come out on top? I give you BeastyQt.
That's right. Of course, BeastyQt from Serbia, I believe. And I think right now he's staying at the Razor House, if I remember right. I think I read that somewhere.
I think that's probably true. It's not too far.
I believe so. But he is in the U.S. practicing for a little while. Decided to come to the Gigabyte LAN. He's invited here to show what he's got, and he is a great Terran player too. And like you said, it's going to be a contrast of styles. It's going to be Clyde's patient, kind of methodical style against BeastyQt's aggressive, a little bit crazy style, and it's really hard to predict a winner here. I mean, obviously, Clyde maybe a little bit more accomplished overall in the individual leagues, was CODES in the GSL for a very long time, but these foreign events are something that are a little bit new to him too, so it's a new experience. He hasn't done too many of these yet, so there still may be a few things in that regard kind of throwing him off his game a little bit. We've seen him do well in matches where he's had plenty of time to prepare, but how's he going to do in these, grueling stamina-based tournaments like what we have today?
That's a really good point, actually, DoA. I mean, Clyde only recently coming into his own, entering all of these foreign tournaments as well. I believe he's been entering a lot more since he joined Slayers. So a little bit of a new chapter in his career, and he's going to be exploring new avenues. Obviously, as one of the strong Korean players in this tournament, he is looking to get quite far, but we'll wait and see if he can do that. Now, both players are going to be starting off with a gas, so we note that neither player is going for a 1-Rax expand, instead electing to play a little bit safer, going off of one base, getting that gas a little bit early, possibly getting stim, or even teching up to Starport tech very quickly. We have to wait and see.
Yeah, well, there's many different builds you can do in TvT, obviously. Though lately there's been a definite trend to go back to the Marine tank style of play. I mean, we've seen players dabble in bio. We still see players focus mostly on bio, players like MMA and Polt, definitely big bio Terrans. We've seen a fair amount of mech as well. Clyde himself used to play mech quite a bit. But overall, right now, it seems like Marine tank is really the way a lot of players choose to go. So I would not be surprised at all to see both players end up in that realm, even if they have different openings. But we'll see. I mean, Clyde is definitely the type of player that can play a lot of styles, so one can only imagine. And we do have the second gas actually going up really quickly for BeastyQt after what looks like it's going to be a Reaper expand from Slayer's Clyde.
This will be very interesting indeed. We're already seeing a little bit of divergence in what these players want to do here. BeastyQt getting that second gas and putting that factory, I would say, in an area of his base that maybe Clyde wouldn't scan. That would usually be the reason, putting it off to one side so that if they scan over here, for example, the factory probably will be out of view. I'll wait and see whether a starport is going to be popping by straight away after that as well. Because a 200 minerals, 100 gas, that looks pretty perfect to me. And boom, goes the starport.
Exactly, and that's a pretty good place to put it too if you want to get Banshees to your opponent's base just a little bit faster. Now, with the 2 gas, I mean, he could certainly be going for Cloak with this. Sometimes we see players do other things, like throw down an Engineering Bay and start an upgrade real quick like that and skip Cloak. But, we'll see. It could also be a situation,
the Reaper's going to see everything if he gets
off
the ramp. Oh, no, he won't!
Oh, what?
14 hit points, and the Reaper does not get to go up the cliff. If the Reaper had even got up there for a split second,
the SCV.
The Banshee would have been given away straight away, but it looks like BeastyQt is going to be able to get away with this unscouted.
Yeah, not bad at all by BeastyQt. I mean, just having those Marines there is so helpful, and I love that he had them on the low ground instead of on the high ground, right? Yeah. The high ground is where a lot of people put them. He has them there now, but if the Reaper jumps up there, he already sees everything. Even if you kill the Reaper right away, that doesn't restrict the scouting that it gets to do all that much, but by having them on the low ground, he never even gets into the base. So, nice little move by BeastyQt to deny that scouting information. Clyde appears to be going for that elevator move afterwards, another use of the cliff on this map going into the main base. What Clyde is doing, or at least the version of it, is very popular in Korean TvT. Oh, and look at this BeastyQt. Looks like he's waiting for that scan, and there it is. He's going to fake Cloak, but he's actually reducing or researching the Caduceus reactor.
Wow. That's something I don't think I... In fact, you know what? I'm going to say Oh, okay, there we go. It does get cancelled. I don't think I've ever seen Caduceus Reactor researched in a game.
I've never seen it finished.
I've never casted a game where it's been researched.
It's very, very common, actually, for Terran players, especially in Korea and other parts of the world as well, to start that upgrade, wait for that scan around 630, 640, and then cancel that. And that's exactly what BeastyQt did.
Such a smart move from BeastyQt there.
Well,
so now, oh, this is beautiful play. So now we're going to be seeing Slayer's Clyde really try and react a lot more against Cloak than he otherwise would, but he has to be careful because the Banshee is coming within range of the Viking, and of course BeastyQt does not have Cloak, so that Banshee's going to go down straight away.
Yep, no problem there at all. Clyde did poke in a little bit with his Hellions. He lost one and singed a couple Marines. Now, BeastyQt actually has a Raven out right now as well. So, wanting to get that Raven early for that point defense drone, you can also harass a little bit with auto turrets. I've even seen players like Alive, for instance, on Fnatic, use the point defense drone, or not point defense drone, use the auto turret from the Ravens to give high ground vision to siege tanks for pushes like that a little bit later.
This is quite interesting as well, because the way BeastyQt is setting up his unit composition at the moment almost looks like we're going back to the days of old where we have Marine Tank Viking with a Raven in there for point defense drone in TvT. It's like he's going back to the metagame of TvT from half a year to a year ago.
Well, that's kind of like what I was mentioning earlier. It seems like there's this real trend for players to go back into Marine Tank yet again, and we see Slayer's Clyde just starting that +1 infantry weapons upgrade as well, so him going for the same thing. There's 2 more barracks. Yeah, so Marine Tank versus Marine Tank. This is literally, I don't know why that word was so difficult to say, but literally how many TvTs go these days. Players have played around with different styles, settled back on Marine Tank as being the safest way to go, and now it's become the standard yet again.
So the metagame coming full circle here in StarCraft, guys, and we are going to be seeing some Tank Viking micro. And while the when the siege tank lines are planted down, let's face it, it's not necessarily the most exciting thing to watch, but what's really interesting about this kind of play is watching how the armies actually posture and move relative to each other.
Yeah.
Because what BeastyQt wants to do is sneak up on his opponent and siege up in a fantastic location where, for example, he can take a third, and the Hellion goes down, but yeah, the Scout is definitely worth the minerals here. So now Clyde is immediately sieging up outside his natural. What will BeastyQt do about it?
That's right, and it looks like BeastyQt has the Viking advantage as well. Oh, taking out one of Clyde's Vikings, rather. There's the point defense drone trying to keep those other Vikings alive, doing a good job with that, but BeastyQt does lose a tank. A third Viking comes in right now, winning the air war easily. That bunker's about to go down as well. So BeastyQt, despite losing that tank early on, has Clyde in a great position right now.
This is going to be very interesting indeed. I mean, Clyde is going to have to use scans to try and keep vision with those siege tanks. That point defense drone from the Raven is still active, and of course it's active for approximately forever. It's active for 3 whole in-game minutes, DoA. That is going to be sat there for a very long time indeed. Marines now actually picking it off just as I say that. Caster's Curse striking a little bit there, but this Raven is going to be able to do so much damage. BeastyQt is in a position where he's forcing Clyde just to constantly use scans to keep up, to compensate just for the one Raven he built. Sooner or later, not only is it going to pay for himself, but it'll give Beastie a nice economic lead as well. Well,
BeastyQt can do cool things as well, like throw an auto turret down next to a tank and cause them to focus each other while he moves his army in. There's a lot of utility you get from that Raven, but he's absolutely making the right decision right now, as in by moving back. You know, obviously he wasn't going to be able to do a whole lot more damage there. Rather than keep trying, lose some Marines, lose the tanks, he decided to just pull back, play things safe. Absolutely the right call by Empire.Beastyqt. Clyde, though, is going to use that opportunity to do a little bit of pushing, and right now he does actually have the tank advantage, 5-4. Still, even though on Vikings, he does have a few more Marines. That Raven that BeastyQt has is going to have another point defense drone by the time the engagement happens between these two armies. So overall, things fairly even right now.
Interesting choice there to go out by the third base from Clyde. I thought he might have been sieging up there to maybe take his own third, but he actually went through the middle of the map after checking out his third, just to make sure that BeastyQt isn't hiding any units back there, and we're going to be seeing these two armies possibly go with each other, but oh wow, it looks like BeastyQt able to get this. Okay, there we go. He does siege up first, and a scan going down just as siege is, well, rather just as the tanks are unsieging. BeastyQt going to be heading back up into his natural. Of course, that Marine at the Watchtower doing so much for him.
Oh yeah, he gets to see pretty much the entire army gets a good view of everything as well. Now Clyde is just going to move back at the same time. Looks like Beastyqt is getting ready to take his third base while Clyde is building his at the third base location. It's about halfway done. So Beastyqt is going to have his orbital up at his third a little bit earlier. It seems like pretty much everything that's been going on in this game has been kind of a little bit in Beastyqt's favor so far, but the thing with Marine Tank is that it is very, very volatile. You know, one bad matchup, one bad engagement can really, really turn the tide of the game. You know, it's almost like ZVZ in that you really need to be very careful with your micro. You know, one Baneling hit in ZVZ changes everything. Well, one bad Siege, one bad Stim in TvT with Marine Tank certainly changes just as much.
It absolutely can, DoA. You're spot on there, and that's mainly because at the end of the day, tank counts are so difficult to replenish. You destroy an army once, you move in. If your tank count is something like 6 to 1, boom, you get in decent position and you win the game. You stim in, kill the last tank, and you just have a beautiful tank line that your opponent simply cannot stop. So one bad engagement will end the game, as in any mirror matchup, of course, but TvT just a little bit more positional, I would argue, than the others, unless you're talking about something maybe along the lines of Blink Stalker versus Blink Stalker with high ground vision for Colossi or something.
Oh yeah, it gets crazy in the other matchups, definitely.
This is actually a really good map for that as well, PvP War of the World style.
Yeah, it certainly is. Right now, though, we luckily get to see a TvT.
Yep.
One of my favorite matchups. I really do like TvT. I like all the mirror matchups, but TvT is certainly one of my favorites. Beastyqt looking like he wants to maybe get a little bit aggressive here. There's a lot of fake pushing and you know, positioning and posturing that goes on in TvT as well. But you know, the timing would be pretty good. He's timing this up with +1 infantry armor finishing. He's going to have combat shields and +1 vehicle weapons not long afterwards. So just trying to move across the map and get close to being in that position where he can push from.
I love the positioning here.
Oh, man.
I love the positioning from Clyde here, actually, because take a look. There are supply depots everywhere on the map spotting these drops, and Beastie hasn't been able to get a drop off, even though he loaded up a couple of medevacs earlier. He just hasn't been able to take Clyde by surprise at all. One of the things Clyde is doing so well this game, like you mentioned, he is perhaps a little bit more defensive as a playstyle compared to Beastyqt, and he is just taking this very, very solidly. The current worker supply is 63 to 59 in Clyde's favor, so pretty much neck and neck on that front.
Oh, Beastyqt scanning, moving up, not seeing any units. Now he does see Clyde's army coming in, does pull back. He has a nice siege up on that high ground, but the tanks are very, very clumped up. That sort of makes him prone to things like dropping on top of them. If Beastyqt loses his Marines, he's going to have to worry about that. And yeah, I think we're going to see him pull back just a little bit. Both players being ever so cautious in this situation. Clyde looking like he wants to attack, but really neither one of these guys wants to engage right now. They're waiting for 2-2 to finish. They need to make sure that that happens first, and once it does, then I think we're going to see some fighting.
This could be interesting. Actually, Beastyqt has to be a little bit careful because Clyde potentially has the option of just trying to walk towards the third base of Beastyqt.